or Gary Smith.
Hey, Doug.
How you doing?
Hey, Doug. The last two games that Jake has played, I know you're a bottom line guy. He and the offense have had the ball with a chance to tie or win both games. And, does that say as much as anything about the kind of job that Jake has done being thrown into this the way he has?
I think it's part of it, but I think there's like kind of like yesterday, there's a lot of other guys that are starting to step up at times. Getting a little bit better consistency, getting the game into the fourth quarter, but there's still games during the course of the game, plays during the course of the game that we need to do a better job of that obviously will help us at the end. And then, obviously we want to be able to finish better, than we've had the last two games. So there's a couple things, that are starting to increase our ability to win games. But at the same time, it's not increasing, fast enough, but it is starting to get better.
Okay. And what do you like the best about the way Jake has played the first few games?
Well, the first game, I really didn't know what I was going to see, Gary, so I think that's well documented. The second game, that's another thing you go through having coached in the Northeast for, quite a long time. I'm talking about in Buffalo and New York and places like that. It's, I've seen quarterbacks come in, especially younger quarterbacks, when there's conditions, what I'm saying, whether it be extremely cold, whether it be raining, whether it be, wind's always the toughest one, in my opinion, because you've got to kind of transition through a lot of different things, on that field. Yesterday we saw a little bit where you try to overthrow the football because of the wind. I think his location wasn't as good, but at times. But I really thought, for the most part, that's another tough situation to put someone in. To do that. And I thought, like I said, I thought he made a couple, really nice throws, really on a line, cutting it. And I just think, he's a young guy, and he's coming along. I wouldn't say that it dropped down or anything like that. And people can say, yes, it did because of the statistics. I understand all that, but with the conditions the way they were, I was, I'm happy with the way he's progressing. He's doing everything he can, so I can't really, ask for more. And I think when these opportunities come up, see if he can take advantage of it.
Yeah. Thanks, Coach.
Sure, no problem.
Thanks, Gary. We'll head over to John Reed.
How you doing, Coach? Keelan Cole has been with you from the beginning. What, in your eyes, have stood out for him? What has stood out with him? What remains the same? I mean, what can you say about him?
Yeah, I think I can say a lot. I think being here the whole time with him, there was flashes early on. There was kind of, he's kind of involved some, then he's not, then he makes a great catch. So I don't want to say it's inconsistency, because at times we haven't been able to get him the ball. I'm talking about over the course of years now. But he continues to give great effort all the time, and I think this year is probably the most consistent that he's played, meaning that even though it might not be through the progression, or it might not, we might not be able to get to him because of protection, whatever it may be, but when you look on the field, he's winning a lot. Does that make sense? He's getting himself open and putting himself positioned. Yesterday there's two plays, there's a slant at the end that gets tipped. You know what I'm saying? If that ball doesn't get tipped, he has the ability to catch it and make a good play. Another time with the progression, he's coming clean across the middle. We can't get the ball to him, late. But he's been playing very, very consistent, and he's playing the best he's played since he's been here. I know the stats probably back that up, but I think if we were able to get on the ball a little bit more, during the year and things like that, I think it'd be even better. And then, I can't say enough about the special team stuff. He's every time he's called on, to go in there and do something, he makes something happen, whether it's a kickoff return, which he's done before for us in the past, or it's a, punt return, like he did yesterday. He's always up for anything. He's always got a good attitude. I'm talking about when he likes to play. He likes to be on the field. He likes to practice. He's really come a long way. And I think he'll continue to get better. I really do. I think, I think he's, he can do a lot of different things. So I think he has value.
Thanks, John. We'll go over to John Shipley.
Hey, Coach. I think Logan Cooke landed, I think it was 4 punts within Green Bay's 11 yesterday. Can you just talk about his performance and his development this year?
Sure. I think a lot of it goes into a couple things. I think, how we talk about the wind and the factor and the quarterback, and, a lot of that gets put on the quarterback, because he has to throw the ball in that. But I think one of the things that gets overlooked is, the kickers, when it comes down to the game. And, Logan's always been, steady for us. He's always been a good net. He really kicks a bunch of different types of balls. I think you guys are seeing that. Where, he can line it. He's good at his sky kicks. He's got another ball that spins sideways a little bit. So he's always continued to work in, and he's also doing a lot of our kickoff duty. So, I think when you get someone that can do that, that's a big get. And I think he's only going to get better. He can throw. We've seen him throw the football. He's a good athlete. He's an excellent. And one of the things that probably gets overlooked the most is how great of a holder he is. I think that's another job that a lot of people, kind of take for granted. You look over the years. And then having been a holder for, multiple kickers is still, that's something that he has to work on and get ready for. And his ability to, I didn't know how Chase was going to do, and I think he deserves, saying something from coming in there and really feeling good about, hey, let's go kick this 52-yarder. I believe in you. And then after that, you just feel like he's going to go out there and do anything. But during the week, we were going to go with him as the kicker if we didn't feel good about it. I'm talking about Logan, So I think it gives you an idea of the type of athlete he is. Always has a really good demeanor. Never really gets rattled. Can come back if it's a poor kick, because everyone's going to have those, when at time to time. But it's really been a solid draft pick, a solid guy that we've gotten production out of. And he had a great year last year, in the net. So, he continues to play well, and I think he'll be a guy that's in this league for a very long time.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Shipley. We'll go over to John Osher and then Hayes.
Hey, Doug. Obviously, the last couple of weeks, there's been a couple of long touchdown passes given up. But overall, do you like the progress of the corners?
Yeah, I think Sidney Jones is, because he wasn't here, I think has really helped us. And I think, yesterday, he had the big touchdown on him, but he was able to come back and get the interception, and he has a bunch of pass breakups. So, I think he's we're fortunate, honestly. You know what I'm saying? We're happy that, he was able to come in and we were able to get him and him to play, football for us. And I think CJ has shown, it's like anything else when you're young, you're gonna want more. I think, it's just up and down, but he can continue to keep going, and with greater consistency, I think there'll be much greater accolades ahead for him. I think, and he has the ability to do it. So that's not an issue. I think, when I look back, the guy that's probably been a pleasant surprise is Clay Brooks, and his time in there and just the way he competes, because we weren't thinking about him, going in there and playing corner for us. And, he can go in and he's got good man-to-man skills, because of his speed. And then I think Trey Herndon the last couple of games has really picked it up. He's been active and has done a lot for us there, being in the slot, playing nickel for us as we go. So, that's pretty much, the corner position, what I'm saying, with those guys playing. And they get challenged each week. And, they're challenged in a couple ways. One, we try to help them out at times, give them a break, and at times that we need to rush, so we got to start bringing guys. And a lot of times you're going to put those guys on an island. And, sometimes those matchups aren't great, and that's all around the league, but, we've faced some really good receivers coming in, and, we've won some, and we've lost some. It just seems like the ones we've lost have been, big plays.
Thanks, Osher. We'll go over to Hayes.
Doug, can you describe how Devon Hamilton is playing for you?
I like him. I mean, he's a hell of a player. I mean, I think he's a guy that's gonna, first of all, he's a unique person from his. I shouldn't say it like that. What about he? He's a really bright. He's a real smart guy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm talking about. I don't want to talk bad about Dean Lyman, but being an offensive lineman my whole life, we used to always talk about those guys as not being the brightest. But I don't want to bring that up. But anyway, D Hams, he's real smart. I mean, he knows what's going on now. I mean, it's a lot more. He knows what's going on around him. He knows blocking scheme, backfield sets, all that stuff. I mean, he's a student of the game. And not only that, as he's a big guy and he's active. A lot of times you get these big guys and they're not, they can hold the gap. They sit there. If the play comes to them, they can make it. But he can make plays that are moving around him. Whether he's on the run or not. And yesterday he made a couple of plays, and every game now you're starting to see him make plays. 4 or 5 plays. He got a sack yesterday and got some pressure, and you see that's coming. With him. I think a year of lifting, a year of playing, of practicing, and getting his body better. You know what I'm saying, for the game. I think you're going to see a lot of production out of him. I think he's proven, like, how sometimes you look at guys and you're like, well, he had a great year. I wonder how he's going to. I think this player that we're talking about is going to be consistent. You know what I'm saying? As long as he stays healthy, which he's shown he has been, for a pretty good period of time. Good player.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Hayes. We'll go to Gene.
Just keep the D-line stuff out, because I don't want those guys giving me crap.
You got it.
Thank you.
Hey, Doug, could you just talk, your guys are playing the Steelers this week. Could you just talk about your thoughts about them as an organization? I mean, over the course of your lifetime, I think they've had maybe 7 losing seasons in almost 50 years.
Yeah, I mean, they got a great culture, Gene. I mean, I was fortunate. I had a cup of coffee there, I think in 91 or 92, I got, after the World League stint, I went to Pittsburgh. So I got a chance to be in the organization for a little bit. And I can't say enough about it. Coach Noll was the head coach at the time. It's all football. I mean, it's all football. It's all, we have a lot of people even here. I think Dan Edwards came from Pittsburgh, as the head of our department. I think, I've had some guys with me that are kind of like Alex, that like when I was in Buffalo, they all wanted to go to Pittsburgh. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just from a sense of, being in that type of, surroundings. I'll give you a great story. So, when I was in Buffalo, we went up to the preseason, and we went to practice against them for 3 days. So, we arrived with the team, and I have this security comes to me, and they say, Mr. Rooney wants to meet with you. So at first I'm like, oh shit, what did I do? You know what I'm saying? Like gosh, I'm going to the principal's office on the first day. and they bring me up there, and this is the senior. So I mean, the older one who had passed, and so I get in there, and he said, "Look, I really appreciate you guys coming. You're our guest. I want to make sure you heard it directly from me. If you need anything, your team needs anything, you make sure you come to me, and you'll have it." And I just thought that was such an active class. I mean, it just shows you, the organization, and I think that I think around the league there's a great appreciation for that. I've always admired that. The Rooney family has always been heavily involved. They've always, they've done those things. So, from a standpoint, I have a great deal of respect. But for me, from a playing standpoint, from people that I know that have coached there, from players, that have played there, I just think that it's one of the things they've done they've done a lot of, they've done a hell of a job, and they've been a good football team for. You can talk about decades. There'll be times where, they may be a little bit down, but like I think you brought up a great point, not many.
Thanks.
Sure.
Thanks, Gene. We'll go back to Gary for one more.
Yeah, Doug, forgot to ask you an injury. How's Chris Thompson, and did you have anybody else banged up?
Yeah, I think Chris Thompson will go to IR. That'll come up this week. LaVisca, I think we'll wait and see. I'm not sure. It's too early. I think Linda will be back. Gardner will go out and maybe throw a little, but he won't be ready. You know what I'm saying? So Jake will be playing. I think Dakota Allen will be fine. I think Doug Costin will be fine. Zigbo will be out there practicing. Abe, he'll be working on the side. I'm not sure. Cam will be fine. I think that's it injury wise.
Okay, and just
and O'Shaughnessy probably won't be out there till late in the week.
Okay, and real quick, if you ever had to use Logan as a kicker, who would be the holder?
We've got a couple of guys. I think that we've had Chris there, but we have both of our tight ends are ex-quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? So we have no problem putting those guys in there. To hold. So, I mean, we've worked on it, so It's not a problem. Yeah, I mean, we got snappers, holders. We have to do that. You have to be 3 deep all the way around. Okay. Not bad, but it's an art, really is. I mean, it's something that I think gets overlooked quite a bit.
Thanks, good.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Gary. We'll wrap up with D-Rock.
Hey, Doug, just a quick follow on Gene's Pittsburgh question. People kind of look at the Patriots as the model franchise, but should the Steelers actually be the model franchise because they've sort of done it over, like you said, the span of decades, multiple decades?
I don't know. I mean, you're talking to someone that was part of one organization, and really, I don't know, Mike, I'm saying, New England's, except for, again, I have a lot of people that I know that have worked there and that I'm, close to, and I have a ton of respect for and competed against them. But, I think, it's always amazing to me about Pittsburgh, and it's showing up again now. It's just, defensively. I mean, just, you talk about an organization that defensively they've been good, for it seems like every time we've gone up there and we played against them, it's a pain in the butt. And I'm not talking about from here. I'm talking about anywhere I've ever been. They just do such a good job. I mean, I can tell you stories upon stories. I mean, of practicing up there and wearing those black, I used to forget what we used to call them. We used to call them those like those sacks. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it wasn't even like jersey material with no numbers on it. And I remember going up there, and we used to have to run our 40s in our pads. They wanted to get like a true time of someone, running it. And then I remember in the locker room, everyone's trying to change into like quarterback pads and trying to get as light as possible going in. And burlap sacks. That's, what I'm saying? That's what those jerseys were. And I remember when I first got there, I said to myself, I'm like, you know what? I got a chance to make in this team because they don't have any numbers on the jersey, so maybe they'll confuse me with one of these better players, and I got a shot. But it was interesting. After a while, I think, the coaches know your stance and, saying how you play, and they were able to see through that. And it's interesting because, back in the day, I was just curious. I'm like, why would they have these, because back then there wasn't like media like there is now. You know what I'm saying? Like how you guys go out there and you're crossing out who's out of practice, who's not at practice. I don't think that was going on back then, but, and they would say that all the time. They were like, well, we have these no numbers on it because, Mr. Davis at the Raiders would be, might be spying on him, So I was like, gosh, So it was like my first time of really a lot of conspiracy theory going on. And prior to that, I was in the Raiders, and we were out there in training camp, and there was a tree out in wherever we were, not Thousand Oaks, but I forget where we were. So there was a tree, and then Mr. Davis was worried about someone being able to climb on top of this tree and kind of watch us practice, and then the next day we come out there and the tree was cut down. So I think that was going on a lot. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day. So, it's always interesting, but I just, I don't know. I think they've always continued to draft well. They, the players that play, they've done a nice job. And, like I said, I have a ton of respect for the Rooney family. I really do.
And just a quick follow-up: is Gardner scheduled to start throwing again this week? If not,
what we're going to do is that we'll put him. We'll look at his routes on air. He's feeling a little bit better, not fully, 100%. So when we throw routes on air during practice, he'll throw, see how he feels for the first time. You know what I'm saying? See how it is after that. And then we'll take it from there. But I don't think he won't be ready.
Okay. All right, thanks, D-Rock. Thank you, Coach. We'll see all you guys on Wednesday.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.